Today, my fatty's gonna get a bit of a trim. Hey folks, we're back again with another video, and today we're going to be changing out the spindle on a RaceFace Cinch crankset. So I've been a big fan of the Cinch system. I pretty much bought into it when they first launched it. I like the flexibility of being able to change out parts between components, and it doesn't have to be the same model. It could be between different models. As long as it's Cinch, most of the parts, if not all the parts really, are interchangeable. So in this case, I decided to go with shorter cranks on my fat bike, but I could not find a crankset that had the width spindle that I needed for my fat bike bottom bracket, which is like 121. It's a wide spindle, right? So I ended up finding, for a really good deal, which is the biggest reason I'm getting into this season, a brand new crankset, not even the same cranks. These are Next XL, this is the Era. And ultimately, I'm gonna change out the spindle, which is your typical spindle, with the wider one. I already have a buyer for this set of crank arms. They're gonna get a new spindle with it and done. I'm happy, he'll be happy, and we're all good to go. This is an easy job. I'm sure you could do it, and you never know when you might need to do it, all right? So that's why I'm going over this video. You could find a set of used cranks, and if they don't have to come with the right spindles, you have the option to put on the right ones. As for tools, I'm not gonna go into a tool section. We're gonna go through the tools as we go through the job, because there's some tools are gonna be consistent, other ones are gonna be based on, well, what you have, right? Your setup, essentially. So let's get right into it. So I decided to show this job as if we were working on the bike to remove the crankset. My problem is right now I just do not have room to put up a whole setup in order to show you how to remove it from the bike, okay? So you're just gonna have to, well, use your imagination best you could. I'll try and do my best to explain what this would look like on your bike. So ultimately, this is the drive side, this is the non-drive side, right? The first thing we're gonna wanna do is remove our pedals. Now, typically, it'll be either an 8mm or a 6mm Allen to remove pedals. I don't know, you might have some kind of special pedal that's not one of those two. If you do, just find the right Allen. So first, let's remove the non-drive side pedal, right? So again, let's say you're looking from the drive side, you're gonna go to your non-drive side pedal and you're gonna turn it counterclockwise towards the back of the bike in order to remove that pedal first, just like that. I know this might seem simple, but again, these videos are meant for people that have never done a job like this before, right? So now we have the drive side pedal. Ultimately, again, you're on this side looking at this pedal. You are going to turn this one clockwise towards the back of the bike again. Okay, until the pedal comes out. So our pedals have been removed. Next, we remove the crankset from the bike. So with the Cinch system, we have to remove the drive side crank arm from the spindle. There's an 8mm nut in there, right? So we need an 8mm Allen wrench. Now, again, this is on your bike. What you're gonna do, this can be a very stiff bolt to loosen. It's in there like with some pretty good torque pressures, right? 45 to 50 Newton meters, somewhere in there. And that's if somebody didn't over torque it. So what I typically do on the bike is I'll grab the chainstay and the crank arm like this, and then I will put the Allen key underneath it, give it some space, and then we separate it counterclockwise. We have to turn counterclockwise towards the back of the bike to remove it, all right? So this one's already loosened. So what I'm gonna do now, it's gonna be stiff in the beginning, and then it's gonna loosen up a little bit, but then again, then it's gonna be stiff again after about a half a turn or one full turn. That's normal. So if it's stiff in the beginning, gets loose and then gets stiff again, that is absolutely normal when it comes to the Cinch cranks, okay? So once you get past that second effort, for lack of a better term, your crank arm will separate it. We will put it on the side. Now, before we remove the crank arm, the whole thing from the bike, you might have spacers, you might not have spacers. In this case, I have 2 spacers on the drive side. Now, the bottom bracket is going to have a dust cap, which is probably on the bottom. Well, it's definitely on the bottom bracket, but I look on this side and the dust cap came off, right? So this is the dust cap for the bottom bracket. It might stay on the bottom bracket, it might not, but I also have a spacer on the non-drive side, okay? And then we have, you technically don't really need to remove it, but let's remove it. So this is our tension ring, essentially to create tension for the bearings, the bottom bracket bearings, so your crank arm doesn't move side to side. And this is the older one, which absolutely sucked. This was the worst part about this whole design, in my opinion. They did a bad job with it, but they fixed it. So in the old one, you needed a 2mm Allen in order to loosen the screw. And when you loosen the screw, the whole thing will twist out. And then the whole thing will slide out, put it down. In the new one, which is a better design, the only stupid thing with the new one is they should have just left this solid because it collects a lot of dirt and mud right around your dust cap, which tries to protect your bearings. Not exactly the brightest design, but at least it has a 3mm Allen screw, which is a lot better than that one because this one would strip all the time. Okay? And well, basically we removed it and everything's on the table. Let's start separating the spindle from the crank arm. Next, we have to remove or separate the spindle from the crank arm. This is a two-step process. So for starters, we need a 16mm Allen. Now, you go out there and buy an Allen socket that's 16mm. No, I don't know how easy they are to find these days. This one's old. I bought this back in 2016. Or in their kits, in the RaceFace kits, the replacement kits, they provide you one. And this one works really, really well. It has really sharp edges. So the way this works is we put this in, okay, just like that. Make sure it's flat in there. And then we grab an 8mm Allen that goes inside. Actually, you know what? Let's put this down here so I don't damage the table, because this is going to be very, very stiff. Again, that's 50 Newton meters, right? So again, we want to turn it counterclockwise. Okay, so best to put the arm flat on the ground like this, and then give yourself some room, and then you're just going to press down. It's going to be hard. All right. It's still going to be hard. There we go. Now we're going to remove the top cap. Just like that. Put it on the side. To separate the axle from the crank arm, we're going to need a tool. This is a RaceFace tool. It's actually a cap. It's a bolt-in cap, but ultimately this will allow us to separate the actual crank arm, right? Here's the part number. So right over there, F121 matte black. Again, this is, you can use this as a bolt to keep it all in, right? So the way this works, we're going to take this washer, we're going to put it inside first. We're going to screw this on the inside clockwise. That's going to screw into the axle. I'll get it in there. Come on. Don't give me a hard time. Look at this thing. Why is this thing giving me a hard time? Get in there. There we go. Jeez, man. Okay, so let's screw this down. And then, don't tighten it. Then we're going to take this outer nut and screw this one in. Use the 16mm tool. Again, clockwise. Okay, screw this all the way down. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take the old 8mm on the inside, and we're going to turn it counterclockwise. We're going to unscrew it out. And when we unscrew it out, it's going to push against this outer cap and push the axle out. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit stiff at first. There we go. And then it should rotate pretty easy. And as we unscrew it, the axle will come out like that. All right. And then what we do, take our 16mm again, unscrew the outer top cap. And the inner one will come out. Now we're going to do the same to the new crank arm. Now for the era crank arm, it's not the same cap that we have, or at least a bolt cap. It's going to be different. We don't have to deal with that 16mm. We just need that 8mm on the inside. So this is going to be a little bit stiff. I might need a ground. Hold on. There we go. All right. I'll loosen that one. So that is our cap that we're going to use for the outside. Let's put it over here for now. Make sure we don't mix it up. Okay, but we're going to need the same extraction tool that we just used to remove it. Actually, that's the bolt, that's not the tool. There's the other half of the tool. This was the, yeah, I was right, this is it. Don't mix up your stuff. So let's put this in again. Come on. Okay, let's make my life easier. Oops. Screw this in all the way again. All right. Again, that's the nice thing about Cinch. You could go back and forth between different models. So, put the outer one again. Put this all the way in. Screw it down. Nice and tight. Now again, we grab the 8mm, we go inside, and we separate it. Okay, now it's tight. And there we go. All right. Now we are, I could leave that in there. I don't even need to take this out actually, because that's screwed on with a whole different system. So now we are ready to swap out our axles. Before we swap the axles, what I'm going to do is take the old one, or the one I've been currently using, and clean it thoroughly. Get all grease and any debris. We do not want anything in between these splines and that crank arm, because that will absolutely create creaks. So be thorough over here, be picky. You do not want any space. All you want is grease in between the two. Okay. In fact, what I am going to do is take a little bit of that alcohol. Let me clean it one more time. Thoroughly. Get everything out of there. Take your time over here. Okay. Now we're going to do the same for the old crank arm. We're going to clean this thoroughly inside. We want to make sure that there is nothing in there. As for the new crank arm, I don't have to worry about it. Chances are there's no dirt in there from the factory, right? It's a brand new crank arm, so we don't have to worry about that one. Okay. Now what we can do is take the new spindle, clean the grease that's on there. Another thing, since you have a chance, that I should have mentioned actually, is clean the threads on the inside too. It's easy to access. And now we are ready to put it back together. Before we put it together, I forgot to mention before, clean your caps as well, right? Or at least your bolts. Make sure you clean these threads. Go in there, spray them good with alcohol, go in there with your fingernail and just go round and round and round and grab everything you can out of there. Make sure there's absolutely no debris in here, because that can end up creaking on you, all right? We want the connections over here to be as clean as possible. So let's start off with the new one, right? So this is the old spindle, the wider spindle. I'm going to put it in this crank over here, or at least this crank arm over here. Here is the nut, right, or the bolt. So first we're going to take regular waterproof grease, just thick grease essentially. We're going to be generous over here. Do not be shy. I'll put a good amount on the crank arm bolt. I mean the axle spindle, and put some over here on the threads. This thin coat, nothing too much. To be honest, over here I should have used, you could also use anti-seize. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, wait a second, was this it? Oh yeah, I forgot to take out the, hold on. I was wondering what was going on here. This is the tool to remove it all. I'm not going to keep the tool. I want this tool to be independent. I'm just going to use the original bolts. All right, we're going to put that on the side. So now what I'm going to do is, that's already clean and greased, right? So we're going to put this in. This was the bolt that came with it. Screws down by hand. Okay, then when it gets to the point where you can't do it by hand anymore, we're going to grab, in this case, our 8mm. Spin it all the way around. Now it's going to suck it in. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to need to torque this down 50 Newton meters. And you definitely want to be as close as possible to 50 Newton meters on this one. These can come loose on you if they're like 40. So I got my torque wrench over here. All right, let's put it in. And there we go. And we are 50 Newton meters in there. So this one is done. We're going to put the rest together later. So then I grab the other one. Now that I know everything is clean on the inside over here, again, clean the whole thing best you can. Make sure you don't leave any residue in there. I cleaned the threads on this. I cleaned, well, this I mean, that was brand new, that one actually. So we don't have to really worry about it. But again, make sure that, double check this one. Make sure you have nothing on the edges. Clean it best you can until it comes out white. This is white, so we are good. So now we're gonna repeat. Let's push this guy down since we don't need him. This is a brand new one. Again, take grease. Put around the spline, just like that. Okay, just a thin coat, put on the threads just thin. Okay, and once again, put this in. Put a nut in. The difference is this is going to need that 16 now. We can't do it with the 8. If I was keeping these, what I would have done is buy the Era bolts and use those instead, because that's nice having a standard size. I should have done that from the beginning. Because 16mm, believe it or not, it's not all that easy to find. At least back then it wasn't. Okay, let's put this in. Okay, do the best you can by hand first. Leave the tool in. And the reason I like this actually better than this tool, this one has sort of rounded edges, and these are aluminum, the bolts, and you can strip them. Okay, now let's grab our torque wrench again. Should already be at 50 Newton meters. Make sure we got a good connection. And there. There we go. And we are set. Next we start, actually let's change out the chainring. To change out the chainring, we need a 20-tooth socket over here, right? So this is like a, well, cassette tool, well, not a cassette tool, but a crank tool, sort of 20-tooth crank tool, right? Or chainring tool. So this goes in, and then, oops. Oh, there we go. Now this can be a good crack. There we go. And that comes out real easy. All right, take the chain ring, put it on the side. I got the new crank over here. The new crank comes with the ring, so let's leave this ring with this ring. Okay, this is all brand new on this side. So then it's already greased up for us. Let's clean up the inside over here. Again, make sure you have no dirt. That's key with cranksets, man. You want to eliminate creaks, eliminate any dirt in between any connections, or else you could be hunting those down. Whew. All right. Actually, this for my fat bike, it goes the other way around. So now we are going to take this ring, we're going to put it in. Make that life easier here. Yeah. Okay. That in over here. And this, I believe, is 40 Newton meters. Memory serves me correct. Should say it right on it. 40 Newton meters. All right, so let's take our socket off. Start our tool. Let's bring it down to 40. All right. 40 is good enough. I've never had one of these go loose on me. And I've been riding these on many, many bikes for a very long time. All right. Straight. Come on, nearly there. I don't have a good grip on it. Great. Let's see if I can do it this way. There we go. Nope, I'm going to need to do it on the ground. There we go, 40.1. Perfect. And then repeat the same on the other side, which I don't have to do right now. As for assembly, we're just going to do the reverse of how we took it apart, right? So I have all my components over here that I need to put in order. Now, for starters, I'm not going to need this tensioner. This is going to go with the older chainring or the older crankset. Now, one thing I've learned is when it comes to tensioners, you never want any kind of grease on this side of a tensioner. You only want it on this side of the dust cap, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and make sure that we have absolutely no grease on the tensioner on this side at all. Okay, clean it all off. Then we're going to put the tensioner on. So I just put it on backwards. Yes, I did. There we go. Screw this all the way down to the end. Okay, so in my case, what I have next is a spacer. Now, this is going to be different for all bikes, right? This is my fat bike. I need a 1.5 millimeter spacer on the non-drive side. So we're going to put that, no grease. Okay. And then I need my dust cap. Now, dust caps are stepped, okay? You want to clean it. The flat side goes towards the tensioner. The step side goes towards the drive side, okay? So basically what I'm going to go through is the emulation of putting this on a bike right now. I have a video out there already, and like I said, I can't do the setup. I just can't do it right now as far as doing it on the actual bike, right? So we're going to take our dust cap. Again, the flat side goes towards the tensioner, the step side. Then what we're going to do, take regular grease. I'm going to put a little bit, don't kill it. Don't put too much grease. You do not need to put grease. Grease does not make the bearing slide easier, okay? So we're just going to put a little bit of grease just for corrosion purposes more than anything, or oxidation for aluminum more than anything, okay? Just thin coat. Now, never put grease on the outside of a dust cap. We put a little bit on the inside. Then you're going to take, this is your non-drive side, you're going to take your non-drive side, you're going to put it through your bottom bracket, okay? Any grease that's on here, the fit is tight enough where any excess grease will gather towards that step side of the dust cap, and that's a good thing. We do not want grease coming out of the dust cap, but we want grease in between the dust cap and the seal wall in order to help it or help protect the seal, the bearing seal, from moisture, right? So if moisture wants to get in here, it has a barrier of grease that it's going to have to fight through. So that's a good thing, right? So again, we installed it. We're in the bottom bracket now, right? So at that point, we're going to take the dust cap from the other side, and any grease over here, again, is going to gather. You can even see it gather, basically. See what I mean? It's gathered. So, and then you're going to put whatever spacers that you need on your drive side. So in my case, I need a 1.5 millimeter plus a 2 millimeter for my fatty. Okay, before I put on the drive side crank arm. So then when I put on the drive side crank arm, we're going to grab a little bit of grease. We're going to put it on the splines. Now make sure that your splines are clean on this side as well and clean the threads on the inside. Again, we want to limit any kind of creaks. Put just a thin coat of grease on the threads on the inside. Make sure this is brand new on the inside, right? But if yours is dirty, make sure you clean any dirt. So then when we install it, we want our crank arms to be opposite from each other, 180 degrees, okay? So just like that, we're gonna take an 8mm Allen. We're gonna screw in our crank arm. Okay, like I said, I'm just emulating this. So now our crank arm is in. You're going to torque it down to 50 Newton meters. All right, 50 Newton meters on this. This one here, actually, I do 45 Newton meters, to be honest. I regularly maintain my cranks. So ultimately, 45 Newton meters, I've never had it come loose on me. Never, never, never. 10 years now. And many, many cranks. I have multiple of these cranks, of these cinch cranks. And not only for mine, but many people that I know that have these cranks, right? So I've never had an issue with 45 Newton meters. The reason I do 45, it's easier to take off, to work on it, right? This one here, I do 50 because I never deal with it. This one over here, if you're not going to maintain your cranks regularly, or at least clean your bottom brackets in your cranks, then do it to 50. If you regularly maintain them, meaning at least once or twice a year, then do it to 45. It's just going to make your life easier. It will never come loose, okay? So now we torqued it down. Now you will notice, bottom brackets here, that you're going to have a little bit of play side to side. That's where the tensioner comes into play. The whole idea is to screw the tensioner. It's going to move in this way, and it's going to put pressure on the bearings laterally, right? And you're going to turn this to a point where you have no side to side play, but you have as much free spin as possible. In other words, when this is in the bottom bracket, you go to spin it, it'll turn as easy as possible. And once you get to that point, you're gonna take in this case, a 3mm Allen, or if you have the old one, a 2mm Allen. Yeah, 2mm Allen. Trust me when I tell you, this one's a lot better. Screw it down until you close the cap. Put your pedals back on, which I won't do now. I mean, that's easy enough for you guys to do, right? Just make sure you thread it in the right direction. Again, you're threading towards the front of the bike for each side. All that's left now is take some alcohol, clean any grease that you see on the outside. Obviously, this is gonna be inside the bottom bracket, right? So we wanna clean all grease. And once the grease is done and your pedals are back on, you're ready to go for a ride, folks. Again, this is not a hard job. You could absolutely do it. One of the biggest reasons I'm a huge fan of cinch systems is, one, I find them super solid. I've never had an issue with a cinch. Two, they're interchangeable between different models, which is a really, really nice thing, like you just saw over here. And again, you don't have to buy a carbon crank. You could buy their turbines, and it has the exact same capability. All right. So, folks, if you like the video, click that like button. Click that subscribe button to see more videos. Click that bell button. What ding, in order to get notified. How? In order to get notified when more videos get released, more videos like this are coming. If you want to check out a couple of videos right now, those two over there might be of interest. And until the next time, I hope all's well with all of you. We will be talking to you all soon. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.